Ladies and gentlemen, presenting my man, Damon T. Barry. And the reason why I'm doing this today, right, this is going to be two parts, to fill in what a targeted individual is all about. See, there's a word out there called gang stalking that most people aren't very aware of. Everyone that I bring this to their attention, they go, what? Gang stalking? Well, what is that all about? Right? So, and I have some kind of bright friends, but they never heard of things that, like, I'm going through. And so with me doing the homework, I figured out what gang stalking is all about and what a TI is all about. Now, this from Damon T. Barry, for some reason, TikTok doesn't want me to basically highlight my man, so I figured out another way. So with my figuring out the other way, I'm going to let Damon T. Barry break down what this gang stalking and being a TI is all about. Now, it says up here his last words, and indeed it's correct. Damon T. Barry lived in my city, lived in my state. And for someone to go through something like this, along with the other TIs, targeted individuals that are out there, they were able to get to Damon, and it's sad to say, but let him do the talking, just so everyone understands what is really happening here. Let us begin.
The United States government has deemed that I am a threat to national security. The knowledge of the forever time, contact 2014, contact IV, all of these function as a threat to U.S. national interests. The problem with these films is they're all over the world now, and actually the films are bigger overseas than they are in the United States. So I have a lot of problems now being able to do things in the United States. When you are deemed a threat to U.S. national security, it means that you are considered an enemy of the state. And when you are an enemy of the state, no government agency or function may assist you in any way. You no longer have any civil rights as a person. The Constitution that guarantees you the rights to liberty and the pursuit of happiness no longer apply to you because you are considered an enemy of the state. And because you are an enemy of the state, any and everything that is available to every U.S. citizen in the United States is no longer available to you. So they have the ability to come in and take anything from me without a warrant. They can do anything to me without any due process. There's no one I can turn to for help. I can't call, if I call, let's say, the sheriff to come out and investigate. He'll say, who are you? I'll say who I am. He'll then properly say, I'm sorry, I can't help you, and hang up on me. If I go to the local police department, they'll say, who are you? I'll say who I am. They'll get a phone call, and won't help me. If I go to the CIA, the FBI, they'll do the same thing. Nobody helps me. So because my civil rights are just taken away from me, I go find a lawyer. The lawyer hears about my case to where, they completely monitor everything I do. So for example, if you're on YouTube and you've ever written me a letter or a note and I never responded, it's because they delete everything that anyone sends to me so that I can't respond to you. So if you've ever sent me a note or anything, or even posted a comment and I'm trying to comment back to you, they will delete everything that you say to me. For example, I used to do lots of interviews with radio and television, and they eliminated all that. They have complete control of everything that I do. So any website, any email, telephones, computers, anything that requires electricity, they have complete control over. So sometimes I would go to my YouTube page and I would look on there and it would be like, hey, I'd really like to do an interview with you. can we set up an interview? So I would go to be able to write that person back. And before I could click their email, it disappears. I go to the spam folder before I try to, to pull it back up, disappears again. So they stopped me from communicating with anyone in the outside world. And I used to get lots of interviews from Los Angeles, New York, all around the country, interview requests. So before I can even, it'll show up in my email, interview request, KABC, Los Angeles. So before I can even click the email, it's deleted. If I go to spam folder, try to retrieve it, before I can get it, delete it again. So the contacts in my phone, for example, I used to do lots of interviews with Coast to Coast with Jimmy Church. If I try to contact Jimmy Church on my phone, before I can call him, the contacts in my phone are deleted. So any contact in my phone that is associated with any type of media or contact with the outside world is deleted so that I can't pull it back up. So because they monitor everything that I do, the purpose is to silence and contain me and to stop me from speaking to anyone in the world. So that's the reason we're doing the podcast, because, and this is just in all seriousness, after I created Contact 2014, Knowledge of Forever Time, number 1, 2, and 3, I used to work for the government. So one thing that you have to do, I travel all around the world. So when you travel all around the world, you have to be what's called deployable. And in order to be deployable, you have to be in tip-top shape. No major illnesses, no anything that can stop you from doing your job. So I was always in perfect shape, always took care of myself, ate right, that kind of thing. But after I created the Knowledge of the Forever Time, the first 3 episodes, suddenly I go into my doctor's office and he says, you got 2 different types of cancer and they just out of nowhere. I don't know how you got this, but you have 2 different types of cancer and you're going to be pretty bad in about a year. So you have to check back with me because you'll be full blown by then. And I was like, well, how did I get cancer? He said, I have no idea because you also have 2 different types of viruses in your stomach and we don't know what they are. We can't identify them. So I said, okay. So he said, check back in a year. You should be full-blown cancer and, we can go from there. So I said, okay. A year later, I go back to the doctor. And I say, hey, you checked me out. You said to come back. And he looked at me and said, you're who? I said, I'm Damon. He said, okay, I can't help you. What? I can't help you. What do you mean? You can't, I just can't help you anymore. I'm sorry, I can't help you. And he shuts the door on me. So I leave his doctor's office and I notice there's government cars all around the doctor's office. So I found another doctor. And I go to his office, and before I get to the front door, I notice there's government cars all around his office. So I go in there, I have an appointment to see a doctor that will give me a checkup to see how bad the cancer has progressed. And when I go in there, first thing they say, I'm sorry, we can't help you. What do you mean we can't help you? So I try one more place, one more doctor. They said, hey, we're a doctor's office. We agree to help anyone who needs help. And they set up an appointment with me. I come in there to see him. Before I get there, there's 10 cars surrounding the building. I go inside. I'm sorry, we can't help you. You can't, sorry, we cannot help you. So when you are deemed an enemy of the state, nothing that you do, no services can be provided to you by anyone in the United States. So when you're considered an enemy of the country, you are no longer a citizen. Nobody has to serve you at all.
We'll pause it right there for part 1. This is only be 2 parts. Yeah. No one will help you. No one will accept you. Things will just not go your way at all. That's something Damon and I share in common, being actually targeted. Please stay for the next part. It's not that long. So thank you for tuning in. And this is for all of my TIs around the world and people that are getting gang stalked and all of that jazz. Right? Stay tuned for part 2.